Let me welcome you to the regular meeting of the Cabell County Commission. I know that some of you are here with interest in a couple of items on the agenda. You do not need to sign up, which we've got the sign-up sheet, to speak when we get to that. We'll certainly recognize anybody for a reasonable amount of time to speak on an item on the agenda when we get to that item. And I will, when we get to citizens registered to speak, if you have signed up and want to speak, then you may. If you prefer to wait, you may wait. And we always begin our meeting with a prayer and the pledge, so if you would please stand. Let us pray. Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, send down upon all those who hold elected office in the state of West Virginia the spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice, that they may faithfully serve in their offices to promote the well-being of all people. Grant that they may exercise their duties that would be pleasing in your sight and equal to the challenges of your times. We give thanks to you for all the blessing that you have given us, for the homes that you have given us. Be with those who are ill. And all this we ask through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I guess just as a note of a note, I was tested positive for COVID on January the 6th, and I believe that I have become a 3-time vaccine long-haul COVID person. I have assurance from 2 different nurses and a doctor that I am not contagious anymore. Nonetheless, here we are. So let us call to order the Cabell County Commission for January 27th, 2022 at 10 o'clock. And the first item on the agenda would be to approve the regular commission agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
It's been moved, and I will second that. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The agenda is approved. Next would be the minutes of the regular commission meeting for November 23rd, 2021.
Move to approve the minutes.
And I'll second that. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those minutes stand approved. Next would be approve the erroneous assessments, land consolidation, split tickets, probate documentation, county clerk, from the county clerk probate office.
Move to approve.
Been moved. I'll second it. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And next would be to approve the purchase orders number 22-107126 through number 22-107265. Pay jackets, monthly payments to Fifth Third for fuel card purchases, handwritten checks to Unum, $8,297, and Guardian for $20,418.86.
I move to approve.
Been moved to approve that. I will second that motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is approved. For those of you who might wonder who Unum and Guardian are, that's part of the benefits plan of the county. We do have citizens signed up to speak, and in the order that they're on here, Andrew Frazier from Barbersville. Chief, correct?
Yes, sir.
What's up?
For those who don't know me, I'm Andrew Frazier. I'm the chief with the Barbersville Volunteer Fire Department. And I come to get the commission, mainly especially Bill's opinion on something that we're going to need the commission to help with. there's a West Virginia code, it's 7-1-3D, that gives that the commission, Cabell County Commission signed off on, to give the fire departments a guideline to bill for services rendered on particular calls. One of them we're having trouble getting collected on was an incident with an 18-wheeler that happened on I-64 back in September. And insurance company is not wanting to issue a check to us. To my knowledge, as of 15 minutes ago, they still have not paid 2 local businesses that provided services to clean up that mess, and probably not even paid DOH for the repairs to the interstate that damage up is done. My main question is, if I forward you the information or email you the information, is it something that you can draft a letter with and help get this done, and, you know, for us, but also, I mean, this pertains to local businesses
Sure.
as well.
Yeah, I'll be glad to, if you get that to me.
Yes, sir. You want me to email it direct to you or email it to the commissioners?
To me.
Okay.
Might send us a copy.
Yes, I can definitely do that.
When was that incident? We
It
had a
was
conversation about it, but when was that incident?
around the beginning of September, maybe September 4th, I believe. It was the, right at the 16-mile marker, he was carrying 43,000 pounds of apples. So, it's known as the apple wreck.
Make applesauce.
I wasn't going over the hill to make it. So that was the main thing I was wanting to speak to you all
Okay,
about.
be glad to.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Bailey want to comment on that? There's a Carl Bailey signed.
No, it's not on that.
No, okay. And there's another person, Valerie Brewster. Topic is Green Acres Regional Center, so I guess you'd prefer to wait until we get to that.
Yes, please.
We will move on then.
Did Carl want to speak?
Huh?
Did Carl want to speak?
No,
No,
not,
it's on-
do you want to
it's on
speak
Green
on
Acres.
anything
Oh,
other
okay.
than Green Acres
I
or
got
the levy? No. Does anybody else want to say anything about it? Mr. Hanlon, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Morgan.
Well, next item on the agenda is item 012, presentation by Courtney Proctor, Cabell Wayne Animal Shelter Director, regarding requesting funds for the animal shelter.
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm glad you're doing better. I think that's my last one. Sorry. Take this off while I talk. I'm here this morning just to talk a little bit about the shelter and some of the changes that have taken place over the last 3.5 years and just what some of our needs are. I'm relieved to be able to report that all of the financial problems from the past have been resolved, so we're on good footing there. However, it's expensive to run the shelter and to take care of the animals, the building, the grounds, the vehicles, to pay the employees so that they can actually have a living wage. We have, currently the shelter pays 9 employees, 2 animal control officers who cover all of Cabell and Wayne counties and the city and all of the little municipalities in each county, 2 administrative assistants, 3 dog kennel techs, 1 multi-purpose employee who does whatever she's asked to do, and 1 person who's in charge of working with and evaluating the dogs. We have 3 kind of hourly workers who are not fully employed, so they get daily wages, but they don't have the benefit of having insurance or retirement or any of the other, taxes withheld, which is kind of a big deal when you are not making very much money. Our vet tech is paid with grant money from Petco, and my salary, the person who takes care of the cats, and a person who helps to move the animals around to vet appointments and transports for rescues and things like that are paid by the Western West Virginia Animal Rescue Alliance, which is the 501c3 that was established to benefit the shelter. We take in about 3,500 animals each year, and we it's a nonstop place down there. So if you ever want to come down and walk around and see what we have going on, anyone's welcome. We usually are doing the cleaning in the morning, and then we're open for walk-ins in the afternoon, but of course, we would accommodate you at any time that you might like to come. Of course, we operate every day of the year and take care of the animals, and it's hard, when people, we have a small staff and we're taking care of a lot of animals, so it's hard if people are off. Like this week, we had 3 people off with COVID. Last week, we had 3 people off with COVID. And, so then I end up taking care of cats or running transports or doing whatever, and, it's hard to get it all done. We have wonderful support from the community and the volunteers. Of course, volunteers are volunteers, and they want to come when they want to come, and they want to do what they want to do. So, we would be hard pressed to be without them, but we do need to have regular employees who have specific jobs that they're assigned to take care of. Our building is old, it's not well insulated, it's not efficient where the heating and cooling are concerned. Our vehicles are old. They're usually donated when they're at the end of the life in the city fleet or the county fleet. And so we limp along with them, but we also have to, keep putting money in them to keep them going. And of course, the cost of everything is going up, utilities and so on and so forth. The community's been wonderful about giving donations of food and litter and blankets and beds and whatever we need. But we still, usually the Alliance supplements, the Western West Virginia Animal Rescue Alliance will supplement those purchases that need to be made. Monetary donations come in from the community a lot, and but we never know. It's hard to just plan on that because you don't know what's going to come in on any given month. I applied for and received grant money. The shelter did from Petco for life-saving purposes in 2019, 2020, and 2021. We have a grant application in currently, and we should find out this spring whether any money is funded again, or granted, but we won't know. And that's the hard, it's wonderful to receive the grant money, but again, you can't count on it. You don't know if it's going to be there. 2 rescue groups from our community, one called Advocates Saving Adoptable Pets, or ASAP, and One by One Animal Advocates provide tremendous support for the shelter. ASAP accepts the medical care of every animal that comes in that needs some kind of additional veterinary care, which is a lot. And they spent $180,000 last year providing vet care for shelter animals. One by One accepts the medical expenses for anyone that we ask them to help, and then they also pulled over 2,000 animals into rescue last year. And that's how we've been able to become a no-kill shelter, essentially. We do occasionally euthanize an animal if it's suffering, if it's so aggressive that it can't be adopted, or it's so ill that we can't, the vet says this, there's no hope for this animal. So One by One paid about $60,000 to the shelter last year. So the Alliance, the Western West Virginia Animal Rescue Alliance, paid about $279,000 to the shelter last year, $41,000 in daily labor costs, $77,000 for repairs and improvements, and $78,000 for payroll expenses. So I'm here today to ask you all to consider if you could possibly increase the amount of funding that the commission provides to the shelter. So, and I would just, I'm happy to answer any questions, and Jimmy Morris, our accountant, is here as well if you have particular questions, or if you want me to get information for you and get back to you, I'm happy to do any of those things.
It's rather an open amount. Have you put together anything like the cost of the roof or other things that you're talking about, or how?
Well, I have had an estimate on the roof. We just keep limping along with the roof too, patching to keep it from leaking when leaks pop up. And it's going to be probably between $40,000 and $50,000 to put a new roof on the shelter. And, I mean, we don't need to do that immediately. I mean, we can keep limping along for a while, but somewhere in the near future, you know, it's going to, I mean, I can throw out an amount. I didn't know if you'd want me to do that or not, or if you'd want to. The contribution from the county is currently $100,000. It's $25,000 for each quarter, for a year. So,
And that is from the city and the,
no. The
Okay.
city, Mayor Williams has just asked the city council to increase the city's allocation to $200,000. And they're currently have provided $150,000.
okay,
So, and Wayne County dropped down to $20,000 a few years ago, but they've come back up to $60,000. And I made a very similar presentation to Wayne County on Monday, asking them to also consider whether they could increase their, you know, allocation and support of the shelter. So they're at 60 right now. Cabell County's at 100 and the city's at 150.
Well, I'd like to thank you for what you've done. You've really turned the shelter around with your hard work and those that you surround yourself with.
Thank you.
My question, one of the questions, the Alliance, the WWVARA, and if you mentioned it's a nonprofit, how are they funded through? Is it through gifts? Donations?
Mhm. Yeah.
All right, and do you know how many animals are picked up in Cabell versus Wayne County? I'm
It's
just wondering-
about half, well, it's about half in the city of Huntington. And then it's about a third if you go in Cabell County and a third in Wayne County outside the city of Huntington, or about 25%, I'm sorry. So about 50% of the calls that we do. Now, I would have to get back to you on the number of animals because a lot of strays are turned in. So it may not be animal control officers making the calls, but the public bringing animals in. And we get a lot of animals brought in from Wayne County, the outer reaches of Cabell County, as well as the city, you know, just throughout the whole area. And we do keep track of that as far as strays coming in versus ACO pickups. And owner surrenders as well. Categorize them all three ways. Although sometimes some owners are not exactly honest about whether they're surrendering their pet or not. So,
would it be fair to ask you to just, sometime give us a list of, in a perfect world, what you might like?
like right now, or like get back to you.
You know, you just say additional funds, we can give you $50 out of our pocket, but that ain't gonna do it, but.
No, that isn't gonna do it. Yes, I mean, in maybe not a perfect world, but a better world, I mean, if somehow Cabell County could increase the allocation to $200,000, that would be amazing. If, you know, but, I mean, I'm not trying to be greedy, but I'm just being realistic. It's, you know, it's an expensive operation down there
Yes.
to really take care of everything and keep it all running and moving and going and all the parts.
Been there before you were there and after you're there, and thank you.
I'd just like to say that by state code, I am the humane officer for the county. And when I first took office, and she came on board, life has gotten very easy for us. They take care of things that we would have to take care of day to day. We're very big supporters. We send people down there when they need it. We try to give them cars. We train their officers on firearms and all that. But they do an amazing job, and they make our life very easy here in Cabell County. Other counties, other sheriffs have it very difficult trying, they call it barking dog calls, but that's what they are. They take that care of those things, and when they need us for bad events, then we come in and help them. But they do an amazing job down there, and they're very fiscally responsible, and they've done it. They've come a long way in my 5 years. So I just wanted to put that on record.
Thank you.
I hope that the car you're gonna transfer to them later is at
I
least
am,
in
that's
operating
that's on the
condition.
agenda, yeah.
It is?
Yeah,
Yay.
yeah, you'll get a car today.
Okay.
That's
Maybe.
not much of it.
Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you. and I just would like to ask you all to consider one more thing, kind of as an afterthought, but not an afterthought. I think about it every day. If you all would consider putting some kind of an ordinance in place that would prevent people from chaining their dogs in, out in the county. Huntington has an ordinance like that. And it's not that we could necessarily go, I mean, we're limited with manpower, but people will tell on their neighbors when they have an animal that's chained out in the cold and the snow and just neglected. And, and we will make those calls. So if there was something that gave us some teeth, that we could say, you're not allowed to do this, even if, and Huntington's ordinance is on their city website. And it's also on our animal shelter website. So, or I can email it to you, as something that you could consider. But it would just be really nice. I asked Wayne County the same thing because there's great disparity in what we can do, in different parts of our service area.
I was thinking there was a tethering law at the state level. There's not.
Not that we know of. So I'll investigate that. But right now it's if the animal has shelter and access to food and water each day, then doesn't matter how cold it is. I just received and you may have seen it on the news. I don't know. Tim Muir sent it to me last night. In Logan County, some dogs froze to death during this last cold snap in those stupid blue barrels, and they were just chained in there, and they're literally just lying there, frozen. And our animal control officers go out and they talk to people and they say, this is so we can take them in inhumane conditions, but most of the time, I mean, if they have shelter, food, and water, then that's considered to be enough. And in my opinion, it's not.
We can send out a
Sure, look at
listserv.
that.
We have a
We need
listserv
to
for our
actually
association,
do that.
and we can pose questions to other commissioners of other counties to see if
Okay.
there's other ordinances that are already developed
place.
and enacted that we
Sure.
can glean from. So we can do something like that as well.
Okay, that'd be great.
Knowing the attorney, would you send him something to remind him?
I'd be happy to.
Yeah, that's something that needs to be done.
Okay, yes,
Doesn't cost us anything, it gives you the power to do something.
right. Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is item 013. It's a resolution of the Cabell County Commission in the matter of pledging of letters of credit by J.P. Morgan Chase Bank N.A.
I will move to approve.
Been moved to approve. I will second it. All in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The resolution passes. Next is a similar resolution, item 014. Cabell County Commission in the matter of pledging of temporary letters of credit by West Banco Wheeling.
So moved.
That's been moved. I'll second it. All in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next is item 015, a letter by Phyllis Smith, Cabell County Clerk, for the employment of William Thomas Farley as a full-time employee.
I will move to approve.
Been moved to approve that employment. I'll second that. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The letter is approved. Next item is 016, approval of additional senior levy funding request for fiscal year 2021-2022 regarding the Cabell County Community Services Organization.
I have a question. You're on the board. Are they meeting regularly now
Yes,
in the senior centers?
meet different places. We have been meeting in Underwood because it's big and there's lots of room. Every now and then we do a Zoom meeting also, but
I mean,
meetings
the
are going
seniors,
on.
are they meeting in their senior
In
centers?
so far as the COVID regulations would allow them, a lot of times the seniors, the centers have been closed, so doing all they can do, and of course they continue the feeding of everybody, which is one of the major projects.
Well, I will move to approve.
I'll second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, the approval of that funding is approved. Item 017, resolution of the Cabell County Commission regarding employment of Casey McClure per diem transport coordinator and reclassification of Jacob Wheeler as per diem EMT.
And I will move to approve their employment.
I'll second that. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Resolution is approved. Next, we have item 018, a letter from C.N. Zirkle, Cabell County Sheriff, regarding the transfer of one vehicle, Ford Expedition 2012 model, VIN number 1FMJ59CEF01030 to Huntington Cabell Wayne Animal Shelter.
Very timely, and I move to approve.
I'll second that, and all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Transfer is approved. Who's got the title? Okay. Next item on the agenda is 019, is a special funds budget revision.
This is Special Fund Budget 29, it's the Fire and Economic Development Levy Fund. And there was a refund from West Virginia American Water, the amount of $2,214 on fire hydrants that they have sent back to the county. So that's to show that.
That was when we added additional fire hydrants paid and they did
Yes.
it less expensively.
Yes.
Sounds good to me.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second that. And all in favor of the budget revision to take into account the refund of money, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Item 020 is a resolution of the Cabell County Commission, budget revision number 1.
This is a county revision. This is moving money around within the county commission budget, 1401, and within the courthouse budget, 1424, just to pay regular expenses throughout the year, just moving around within the line items.
So moved.
I'll second that. And all in favor of the resolution would signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The resolution passes. Next item is 021, which is a resolution of the Cabell County Commission State Budget Revision number 7.
This is a state revision to show money that came from the governor's office for mapping purposes. It was $5,000 sent to the circuit clerks throughout the state because of the redistricting. And it was $5,000, so that was put into the elections, the county clerk's elections budget, $5,000. And then also, it's just showing the $200,000 that was the sale of fixed assets and showing that going into economic development,
What did we sell?
the airport.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Right.
Move to approve.
It's been moved. I'll second it. All in favor of resolution to state budget revision number 7 would signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That resolution passes. Item number 022 is discussion and action of the Cabell County Commission regarding an order and notice of special election for an additional county levy for Green Acres Regional Center Incorporated to the voters of Cabell County for certain specified purposes by the County Commission of Cabell County, West Virginia. And I know that there's, I can guess there are several of you folks who would care to discuss that. And I would ask that you take your time, come up here and tell us what you want to tell us, and try not to repeat what somebody else has said, and we will, within reason, give you the time you need.
And state their names.
Yeah, tell us who you are and why you're here.
I'd also like to add that this is a discussion only, and the commission would take action on it at the next meeting. But this is to gather information and have an open discussion.
But we can take action on it this meeting if we should decide to do that, because it's on the agenda that way.
Oh, okay.
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 Good morning. Before I get to the Green Acres, let me, on behalf of the Mason County Commission, I want to thank Mr. Gordon Mary for all the work he has worked with Mason County with his EMS. We appreciate all the job. Sheriff Zirkle, thank you as a Mason County citizen at one time for all the help you've helped with our Mason County Sheriff's Department. Much appreciated.
Thank you. I didn't solicit that.
I am Rick Hanley, and I am chairman of the Green Acres Regional Center Board of Directors. Judge Pratt, Darrell Pratt, cannot be here today. I know he was here at a previous meeting, but he cannot attend today's meeting. So I'm representing the board at this meeting. I was asked to be on the board of directors. It's been over 10 years ago to represent Mason County on the board. We have representatives from Mason County, Cabell County, and Wayne County. And I thought, well, I'm not sure what I was getting into because I did not know much about Green Acres. There had been a few people that, families in Mason County that I knew that their children had gone there. So I thought, well, I'll check it out. So what I did was I went to the website, and on that website was a mission statement. And I'm just going to read it to you. It's just 2 paragraphs, so it's not going to take very long. But I think it's very important that you understand this mission statement, what it was many years ago, and what this mission statement is today. Green Acres was founded over 50 years ago to provide services and employment for young adults with special needs. Today, Lesage Natural, a division of Green Acres, is the only bottling facility in the country whose sole purpose is employing and training people with developmental disabilities. To that end, regardless of the quantity, we do not refer to anybody who takes our water as a customer. Far from that, you are considered a partner in the truest sense of the word. Among the thousands of bottling facilities throughout the United States and the world, Lesage Natural is definitely one of a kind. But our impact does not stop at the end of our driveway. In addition to providing employment at our own facility, our water, derived from our deep sealed wells, is transported to other similar facilities throughout West Virginia. Those facilities are then able to employ people with disabilities to distribute our water in those parts of the state, thus enabling even more job opportunities. Commissioner Morgan, Commissioner Savonia, is Commissioner Cartmill on the phone?
No.
Okay, all right. And your administrator, Fine Administrator Beth Thompson. I come before you as a member of the board, as the chairman. If you have visited Green Acres, you can see the friendship that these employees that we have, how they interact with one another, how they become friends, longtime friends, some of them's been there for several years, and how they learn job skills that they can use not only there, but future employment. We have one person who was at Green Acres for a couple years, and now he works as a custodian at our post office in Mason County in Point Pleasant, and he thinks it was great when he went to Green Acres, and he loves what he's doing at the post office now. And we have a couple who have started out at Green Acres, and then from there they have gone on to Goodwill Industries. As a matter of fact, Joey Combs is over Goodwill, and she's on our board now. And we really enjoy having Joy there. But these employees, not talk about employees, we have other employees there too. They drive the trucks and they help these young people to learn their job skills, learn to get along with each other, learn that you got to be on time when you come to work. You get a lunchtime. The job skills that you all teach your employees when they come to work for Cabell County. But it's just it's a passion that the other employees have in working with these young people with disabilities. It has to be a passion because they love working with them. We really need this levy. We have done what we could to make the dollars go farther. I know that we used to get 300 and some thousand, then it was 500 and some thousand, then it's 700 and some thousand, thereabouts. That money is used wisely, it really is. We're very frugal. We run with trucks that have 150,000, 200,000 miles on them. We cannot afford to buy a new truck, which makes it pretty tough. But our drivers are very efficient drivers. Our employees, both the regular employees and those with disabilities, are one family. And I just ask if you would visit there, you would see the camaraderie of those employees that we have there and how much this levy is much needed. I do want to ask that you put this back on the levy again with the current amount of money that we're getting now. I feel, as the county commissioner, and I hope you all feel the same way, that our job as commissioners is to have the levy, put the levy on the ballot, let the people decide whether they want to continue to help fund Green Acres, whether they want to help fund the 38 people with disabilities. If it fails and we can't keep it open to the part, let's say we can only hire 19. Who tells those 19 people that are not to be hired and that we cannot afford to keep them any longer? I would not be the one to pick and choose which employees get laid off and which one stays. But you're hiring people who may not be able to get a job out in the mainstream. As a former teacher, I loved having these types of students in my classroom. Matter of fact, at one of the schools I taught at, I was known as the one that Mr. Hanning will take those students. He enjoys them, and I love those students. And I love these employees that we have at Green Acres. So I'm just asking you, let the citizens of Mason County, of Cabell County, decide whether they want to continue to fund Green Acres Regional Center. Thank you.
Rick,
Yes, sir.
if it's Mason, Cabell, and Wayne counties, does Mason County have any, offer any support to the center? Does it have anybody who is, for that purpose, a client of the center? And you may not know those answers right
Well,
away,
Commissioner, I think we have 3 that live in Mason County, and a couple of our older adult people who work there transport those 3, or the parent may want to bring them down, that's fine too, but I know that some of our employees drive and pick them up. As far as financial, no, like I said, we have 3. Some of ours in the past are now attending JCDC, which is Jackson County Development Center. But we have a branch office on 6th Street in Maine, or 6th Street in Vian, Point Pleasant, which I frequently go to just to visit because those are very special people to me too. But no, we don't do anything financially. I will mention that as Green Acres Regional Center, we try to buy or purchase anything and everything we can in Cabell County, since the tax dollars go to Cabell County. Obviously, if we're up in Hancock County delivering water, or if we're in Mingo County delivering water, we need gas, we'll buy gas there. But otherwise, we support Cabell County businesses.
maybe too long-winded a question, but my understanding, this Green Acres started in the 1970s, 60s maybe, and the purpose then and the operation of it is totally different than what it is now. Residential program at one time, obviously, I guess, bigger greenhouses, all sorts of things. And it seems to me, as time has gone on, the quantity, not necessarily the quality, but the quantity of the program has decreased, and Green Acres has asked for more money from the county. I know costs go up, I understand all that. But is that a fair statement, that it's certainly being operated differently than it was when it started?
The answer to the most important question you asked was increasing money. We are not asking for an increase in money.
Not this time.
No.
But in the past, it's.
Well, I was not
Yeah,
part of that in the past, but we're not asking for an increase.
Right.
As far as the numbers, well, like I said, JCDC has been in Mason County maybe 10, 15 years. So some of those students who may have come to Cabell County, to Green Acres, are now going to either Jackson County and Millwood, or they're in Point Pleasant to be trained. And theirs is more of an educational. They also do some training too. Just give you an example, they do go to like Bob Evans and fold napkins and put the crayons in and all that. Whereas ours, bottles, pack, load, they do a lot of different things there at Green Acres. But again, as far as the quantity, we do not have the number that we used to have, yes. But our water is going so much farther than what it has ever gone before. And we're very proud of that. Let me give a little plug here to Green Acres too, because Green Acres, in times of tragedy or need, they have loaded up a truck full of water and taken it to flood zones where they have no water. They've taken it to places that was hit by a tornado, not this past one, because of the need of water. We did not charge those people any amount because we find ourselves as a community-oriented group that loves to help other people in need. And not only are we helping our disabled employees, but we're also helping other people in other places too.
To follow up with Commissioner Morgan's question about how the services have changed since its inception, we went from a residential program to a non-residential program. But isn't it true that the funding has dried up for that residential portion of it, where it was state and federal money that paid for the residential portion? That's no longer
Yeah, the
being
company that
received.
was there have removed those people and their services from that, which, I mean, we were getting good money from that. And then that money goes out and we have no funding. We have had Senator Grady represents Mason County. We've had Senator, House Representative Carol Miller come there and take a look. Senator Tarr was there last month or so to take a look at it, and he we're very, very impressed. Everybody who comes there is very impressed about the facility. They go down to the water plant where these employees are working and providing the service to the community, Cabell County, for places all over West Virginia. I'm thinking we're in at least 38 of the 55 counties distributing water. Our water gets all over. We have provided water for the state parks, for the capital of West Virginia. You'll find Green Acres Regional Center water, a little bit of everywhere. And sometimes when I travel, we'll go into places and there it is. It's sit there on a little table at a conference that I go to. Very proud of our organization. We just need to continue. Again, Commissioner Morgan, we're not asking for any increase. So we just ask to allow the voters to choose whether they want to continue to fund. And as you all know, it's been on the ballot and has passed, I don't know how far I can go back, many, many years. Many years.
Yeah, I think it's been on there since Bob Hayes was commissioner.
Well, yeah, Bob Hayes' picture is in our conference room, because we have Mr. McGinnis, those people who in the past, and I'd hate to think what they would be thinking today is if they would not have the opportunity to stand before you and ask you to do the same thing that I'm doing today.
I did go out there and tour,
And we appreciate that.
with one of the, employees' grandmother. We've been lifelong friends, and we spent a half a day out there, and it was very short notice. We didn't, plan ahead, and I was very impressed by what I saw. And I've suggested too, there's a lot of land out there. There's buildings that aren't being utilized to their potential, and I have suggested to Matt Mueller, maybe the board could consider having the Marshall, the College of Business come in, or maybe a business coach, and maybe offer up some ideas of how that, land and the property could be better utilized, that could bring in more revenue. And, do you think that might be a possibility moving forward?
Great suggestion. We had Dr. Deanna Mater, who was a business
Oh, I know,
teacher.
yes. I know,
Okay.
I'm familiar.
Yes, she was on our board, and she's got some health issues, and she retired from there, so, but she was on our board at one time, for several years, and had some, good things, good suggestions. That would be a good one too.
Yeah, I mean, there's a gem out there. It's, along the river and, flat property. There's already some, buildings that are just underutilized. And I would think that the community could come together and have a, professional business coach just look over everything and offer up some suggestions so that there could be in the future. I know that there has, if there is no funding mechanism now, it's been stated to me that this could just go away, and the jobs for these individuals would go away with it, and that's my concern. You're a commissioner,
Yes.
you understand that we are stewards of the taxpayers' dollars, and we are the first step for any levy to go out to the public, but the important thing to realize is that we just place it out to the public to vote on it, and it's up to the public to decide whether they want to impose that levy on themselves to give opportunities for, young adults with intellectually disabilities, the opportunity to have a job and feel like they're, contributing. And that's what I saw when I went out there. Not, like I said, I have a friend whose granddaughter is an employee, and I know how important that program is to that family. And that she, instead of her, the only other alternative would be to sit at home, maybe collect a Social Security check. And, that's not what they want for their children or other children or young adults. And I just think it's a gem, and it's a good program. I would like to see it continue. But having said that, we need to get to the sweet point of where we think what we put out to the voters, the amount. And so that's something that we need to, moving forward, come up with if we decide to put it on the ballot before the people. And that's something I do support.
Okay, we'll be ready and able to approach Marshall Business about doing that.
I think it could be a positive.
Yes, I do too.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you have anything else you'd like to add before we would ask others to make comments?
No, sir, I just appreciate the opportunity to come here and speak on behalf of Green Acres and all of our employees there.
Well, we're delighted that your visa from Mason County got you in today.
Thank you all.
There's a room full of you folks who I know have great passion about Green Acres. Now's an opportunity to let us know what you think. I just pulled out a part of a financial statement that says you have revenue of a little over $1 million and expenses of almost $2 million. Yes, it's hard to make do in that case, I'll say that. And I can see where the levy would help, but, and I will admit, I have not recently been to Green Acres. You all may ask me that. I personally question the use of county funds for what would normally be a privately funded organization. I know some of you in here sit on boards of other things, but just pick some. Harmony House doesn't ask the county for money. Lily's Place doesn't ask the county for money. Developmental Training doesn't ask the county for money. Ebenezer Medical Outreach doesn't ask the county for money. But it's what we're here for, to hear what you've got to say.
This lady back here stood up.
Combs on the list.
Hi, my name is Valerie Brewster, and I was the Director of Finance and Compliance for Green Acres for 20 months. To touch on the number of folks that Green Acres does reach, it's huge. It's actually larger now than the number of residences. I believe at one time there were 40 residences, maybe a little more than that. In the calendar year 2019, they employed 46 differently abled folks. We have folks there that are nonverbal. I can communicate with them. He's a wonderful person. My interaction with Green Acres actually began in 1987. I was a 15-year-old lifeguard at Guyandotte Pool. I was asked to stay late, and a bus pulled in, and the last lady off the bus took my hand. She was about twice my size, and one of the workers asked her to not do that, and I said she's fine. She held my hand for 2 hours. As a very sheltered child that created my giving heart, I melted that day, and I'm still so in love with it. To touch on getting Marshall Business involved, I have provided those services at a consulting rate of $200 an hour in the past, and I've been providing them for Green Acres for 20 months with them not wanting to hear what I say. I am concerned about the use of the funds. As far as the numbers go, the calendar year end is not closed. The revenue was finalized on January 18th. There was $1.9 million in revenue. $700,000 came from the Cabell County taxpayers, representing 36.6% of the money that comes in. I view as every penny or every dollar that we send out for any reason, that 35 to 40 cents of that comes from those Cabell County property taxpayers. I believe that there is some double dipping going on with the charging of their employees that need transportation at a rate of 25% or 25 cents per mile, which is extremely unreasonable. I did discuss this at the board meeting. One of the board members appeared to be asleep. Most times that I would speak in a board meeting, it was dead silence and blank faces. I simply think that a small active board was created so that they could do what they wanted to do. They're wonderful, these people. I have been told to not rock the boat. I've been told to stay in my lane, and I've been underpaid over $10,000 agreed amount for 20 months. Myself aside, the majority of the funds that are given are not used to my liking. When I was lucky enough to get out of my office, I would often run into a wonderful worker. We would talk about wrestling for as long as I could, possibly stay away from my work. They're just amazing humans, and they need the commission. They need the support of the community. That being said, they have not done any fundraising. I offered to go on a remote with a card reader and sell water. The only, I believe, contributions that were given were a contribution from an employee on their anniversary date that was specifically designated how it was to be used. That money has been returned to that donor because it wasn't used as it was requested, and that person didn't trust that it would be in the future. The straw that broke the camel's back for myself was they purchased a $3.48 mug to sit on the new executive director's desk. 36.6% of that was paid for by the Cabell County property taxpayers. Another disheartening thing that I've encountered most recently, Mr. Mueller feels that he can cross a Cabell County picket line. Many of those people give money to Green Acres through their property taxes. So how can you cross a picket line possibly rent a truck to smuggle it in, whatever it takes to get it in there. And then turn around and ask those same people to vote to continue to give you their money to support those activities. I don't think that's proper.
Question. You said crossing a picket line, you mean delivering water
Yes.
to a hospital?
No, to Special Meadows.
So they're not supposed to make deliveries?
I don't know that a Cabell County property taxpayer that's on a picket line would support that type of activity. He has gone so far to tell the people at the Union Hall that he would not cross the line.
Okay, I just want a clarification on that. Okay, you have been employed, are you currently employed?
No, they let me go on January 20th. I believe it was because I was continually saying, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. I
So
told
that was
them on my-
last week you were let
Yes,
go?
January 20th, my 20th month mark.
And you've been there since 1987?
No, 1987 is when I was a 15-year-old person and was introduced to this amazing world that we serve at Green Acres.
So how long were you employed?
20 months, beginning May of 2020. My first week there, I said, you cannot write credit card information down on paper, and you cannot leave the state of West Virginia. They're still leaving the state of West Virginia. And when Elevon, our credit card processor, reached out a few months after I started, the former executive director came to me in a panic. What does this mean? What does this mean? And I said, do you remember when I said that you can't do this? He said, yeah. And I said, I meant it. Somebody has turned you in for PCI compliance. They have not requested funds from other places. We cannot, in good faith, apply for federal grant funding because the policies are not in place to defend CFR 200. Going back to the state situation, they also don't have an IFTA certificate that I'm aware of. I've repeatedly asked for it. When I'm told to stay in my lane or not rock the boat, what's concerning is every managerial decision affects the finances and directly those people that we serve. So everything was my lane.
You mentioned you offered business coach
Yes.
assistance. What is your background in that?
I simply have a bachelor's degree with 30 years experience in a multi-faceted, my resume is quite extent.
What's your degree in?
I have a bachelor's of business administration in accounting with a minor in economics and 30 years experience, much of which is in the nonprofit world. The nonprofit world is very different than most. And I think that the transparency required in the nonprofit world has been completely disrespected by those in charge. I think that Green Acres can continue. I had proposed grant funding, grant opportunities that Green Acres does qualify for, and including an infrastructure grant for technology that would make those residences marketable. There was concern about having recovery folks in there because of security issues. Could we lease our 2 residences and the rec hall to a recovery center? Yes, there would have to be massive security to do that. And everything is doable. There's nothing that's not possible on that property.
And how long has Mr. Miller been the executive director?
His first day was, I believe, January 3rd, and on that morning he walked into my assistant's office and said, thanks for showing up. He fired her the next Monday. I believe he's cleaning house, and there are 3 people in this room right now that need to be cleaned out.
Okay, so
I believe
less
they're
than a month.
detrimental, yes. I believe there are 3 people in this room that are very detrimental to the organization. And I believe that they need to grow the board. I had given Devin names of very competent people. A board is only as good as its actions. And even though we have amazing people on the board, we had to keep a CPA on, at the end of the phone for me to consult because we don't have folks like that on the board to consult. The CPA only performed the duties that I did not feel comfortable doing because of the policies that were not in place for them to be done properly. And I'm very sorry to share this information. I had considered reaching out to Ms. Thompson in the past. I'm not here because I was fired. I'm here because it's the right thing to do.
There's been a few accusations lobbied. Does anybody have anything to say about that?
I have plenty. When I opportunity to speak, that'd be great.
Now would appear to be the time, I think.
Okay, my name is Matthew Muller, and I've been with Green Acres for a little over 5 years, and I'm now the executive director. I was appointed the executive director at the beginning of the year, and unfortunately, what you're hearing from is a very disgruntled employee. I will be the first to say, and the commissioners know this, that we are an open book. We have always been an open book for anybody to come out. I've invited people, ordinary citizens, legislators. I've had all kinds of people come out, and I did this actually before I was the executive director, so I've been doing it for the entire time. And the invitation is always open for anybody to come out and see what we do, and I mean, everything is open for examination. We are not trying to hide anything. We have never tried to hide anything. So hopefully we can get the other commissioners. Ms. Sabonia has been out, but this whole conversation is it's about two things. It's about a mission, and it is also about a product. And by the way, I don't want to speak too long because I know there are some parents of some of the folks that have worked at Green Acres for quite a while. They are here and they would like to speak, so I don't want to take up too much time. But any issues that anybody wants to discuss are always open, and I always make myself available. The books are always going to be open, but I made some changes when I became executive director, and the purpose of those changes was to try my best to improve the things that we're doing, which is providing jobs for people with developmental disabilities, and by the way we do that is by producing and distributing our water. And I can tell you that the reputation for Lesage Natural, if you don't know, is growing considerably. Now, what that means is that we are able to, have better opportunities for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says there's about 18% nationwide of people with disabilities that are employed. Our mission is to increase that number. The way we do that is by bottling and selling water, and which is totally unique. Nobody else does that. I know in the United States, probably North America. So we have multiple challenges that other places do not face. And what I'm talking about are things like vehicle cost, fuel cost. If anybody has noticed the price of fuel, it continues to go up. All our costs continue to go up just like everybody else, and we have to run it like a business, but we are a nonprofit. And because of that, we are competing with other companies that they sell water as well. So if we were to sell it for what, if we didn't have the levy money is what I'm saying, our costs would have to be at least double of what they are now so that we could stay in business. Well, I don't know too many people that are going to pay twice the amount for their bottled water when they can go to a Walmart or a Rural King or name your place and buy it for a lot cheaper than what we're selling it for right now. So
let me stop you and ask you a question, if I might.
yes,
If your business model is the only one like it,
mm-hmm.
and it's losing $1 million a year, $700,000 a year, is it possible that for the clients, the workers, whatever they may be called, that there is a better system of training them. We heard from Mr. Hanley that they have a different model, I would say, Jackson and Mason County. We always hear about the folks at Goodwill, and their work and that sort of thing they do. Is it, looking at payroll costs and other things, just as you mentioned, you've got fuel costs, you've got truck repairs, you've got all kinds of things. It would appear to me that although the mission and the goals are certainly worthy, that the way to get there isn't to sell bottled water. Now, that's just an opinion. And I wonder if the other folks who want to talk, and I feel pretty certain that there are stories that would, for lack of a better term, touch the heartstrings of anybody in here about successes. I have a grandson who is on the spectrum. He's doing well in high school, and I know that small goals are great achievements for a lot of folks. And I know that as a parent, that's certainly a challenge that's been presented to you in the form of your child. But is there a better way to do this? Is $700,000 worth of salaries, is that going the right place to do the right thing?
Sure, and that's a very, it's a totally legitimate question, Commissioner. First of all, let me correct something straight away. We are not losing $1 million a year. I'm not sure where that figure came from.
Just you're losing $700,000 anyhow. I mean, according to your budget, your total revenue was a little over $1 million, and your total expenses were almost $1.9 million. Says the operating profit loss was $800,000.
I'm not sure what numbers you're looking at, honestly, but that is not. That's not. We're not losing. We're not losing that. Actually, we are very close. The last numbers that I've seen, with the levy, we are. I mean, we're very close to breaking even. Actually,
well, that's
with
what this shows.
With the levy, okay.
With the levy.
And again, I'm not sure the numbers that you're looking at, but.
I never saw one of those.
Yeah, I had dropped off, actually, I stopped in a couple weeks ago and I dropped off 3 sets of figures, or not 3, for 3 copies for each commissioner, so that you could actually see our expenses and our income. Because again, we are an open book. Have we done everything perfectly in the past? Probably not. I've been here, this is my 4th week as the executive director, and so I'm still getting.
This was a step Devin provided last year.
So I'm still getting a grip on everything to see where we are and how we can do better in the future. But as far as the mission continues. Things have changed from when we first started. My question is, I don't know why Green Acres started receiving levy money in the first place. I don't know that anybody here does, because it started back in 1982. All I know is that every levy that has come along, it's passed overwhelmingly to support us. And so in terms of the amount, that's another question. I believe that was always a percentage, am I correct? Okay, so it's always been based on a
It's a
percentage.
levy rate,
I'm sorry?
a levy rate. It's a
Okay, yeah,
rate.
right, a levy rate, and so the figures over the years have increased, and I think several years ago it was high as $800,000. Last year it was around $700,000. So it, you know, it fluctuates, but that's where we are right now, and that is what has allowed us to get to the place that we have. So, and to Ms. Sabonia's suggestion about using the additional land that we have, I was actually very close to getting a steel mill put on that property, but unfortunately, the folks in Mason County, they beat me. I was close, but they beat me to it. So unfortunately, we're not going to have that income. But in all seriousness, I don't want to take up too much time because I do know we have some parents that would like to speak. But from a business, just strictly from a business standpoint, we can show figures. I presented those figures, and so you can see for yourself how the money is being spent, and the fact that the costs are going up, but we're trying to keep our prices. We're trying to keep our prices so that we stay competitive with everybody else in the area. Otherwise, we don't sell any water, and we're out of business anyway. So I thank you very much. If you have any questions, please. But if there are some parents that would like to speak.
I'd like to hear from somebody.
Carl Bailey did sign up to speak.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Carl Bailey, just here as a citizen, you know, and I as a contractor, have worked up there at Green Acres years ago when Emma Smith was there. And I know they book on a tight budget up there and all, and I know it's a wonderful program, what they do have up there for the people who work there, the clients, or the workers you call them. I know you do a great thing. I know those people take great pride in what they do there on their jobs. But I just wonder, I know the county commission, we have a big burden here, but $750,000, that's a lot of money. I'm just curious, Commissioner from Mason County, what's your contribution to us? What would the levies, I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Wayne County, Cabell County, Mason County, and Lincoln County uses that facility. Is that correct? Green Acres.
No Lincoln.
No Lincoln, okay,
No.
so Wayne and
No.
Cabell
Wayne.
and Mason County.
Yes,
uses it.
Mason has the
I'm
three
just,
people.
You know, the levy in Mason County, I'm ignorant to this, I don't know, I'm just curious. What is their levy, what's their contribution versus Cabell County? Do you guys give them $750 a year?
We do not, no, sir. Never was.
Can I answer? Can I
Yes.
step in? My question is, and I do have a lot of questions because obviously I'm new, but in the past, when the levy first started, was there ever any contributions financially from any of the other counties within our catchment area? Did that ever happen?
Not to my knowledge. But that started well before me.
I think if the history of Green Acres were traced through, even was outsourced a number of years ago, management to an organization that they may have helped themselves, but I don't think they helped Green Acres any. And it may have been in a transition from residential to day work or whatever you care to call that. I don't know how many folks, total number of employment of what would be management staff as opposed to people who are working there, that sort of thing. If you take $700,000 and would divide by anything, if there's 30 people that are actively working besides management, we could just as well give each parent $15,000 or $20,000, and I know that it doesn't do the same thing in the camaraderie of being together and that sort of thing, but it's just doesn't seem money well spent to me. And remember, this is an opportunity you have to tell me your stories, to tell Kelly your story also.
Well, just.
Okay, so the answer to that question is, it historically there's never been any other funding from any other
I'm sure
county.
that
And my
you get other
question.
funding now, you get from the Pritchard Trust and the Slater Trust, you
Yeah.
get some funding.
Yes, we do.
And I'm sure that as this thing has turned over and Commissioner Hayes, I believe, there ought to be a history of Green Acres someplace that has shown its ups and downs. I am, I'll tell you, could have told you before we started, I'm not in favor of renewing the levy in the amount that it is now. I'm not in favor of taking it all away either. But my opinion would be, and in this case, I guess it's an opinion that at least half counts, since there's two of us here, would be to fund Green Acres with a levy in a less amount for 2 years, and quite frankly say to you, get your act together and let's see what happens. There's nothing, of course, to stop you all as Green Acres from doing a public fundraising. As a steward of the county's money, I'm not sure this is the best place to put it. I'm sure it's a great place to put it, but I don't think it may be the best place to put it.
Commissioner, is there, when you say a less amount, is there a figure that you have in mind, or?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry?
Yes, sir. It is on our agenda for the day. And the, if the resolution were to be adopted that is presented today, it is for $212,000?
Yes.
$212,000
Total.
total
For a year.
per year.
For 2 years.
So that's $500,000 less.
That would be correct.
I'd be very open to ideas on how to make up, given the fact that the levy is 40% of our budget, and then we're gonna cut $500,000 from that. I'll just put it out there, I'm totally open to hearing ideas how we would make that up.
My job isn't to run Green Acres. As I sit here, my job is to try to determine the best use for county money. That's one of them. And it's, unfortunately, if this were a cut and dried situation, if it was an organization selling bananas and the workers were unchallenged people and other things, you could just say, this isn't gonna work. But unfortunately, there's the emotion that's tied to this, which makes it difficult to sit here and say, I don't think you're doing the right thing.
Well, I would, I'll just go on record as disagreeing with that simply because there are a lot of businesses in Cabell County and around the state of West Virginia that count on us to deliver their water, let alone, we just sent 90 pallets of water to Mount Olive Prison because they had a water emergency. We sent 90 pallets, then they called us back and asked for 72 more. And we're the ones that, providing that for them. So it's not just a matter of the folks that work out there. Of course, they're the ones that benefit, but the service that we provide to multiple businesses. I was talking to Lydia Tudor this morning. I mean, the water that we provide to them with the personalized labels, I mean, that's a service to them. And all the other businesses in the area that benefit from getting our water.
Matt, when this, I hope I call you Matt.
That's fine,
When this first
yes.
came up, the courthouse uses water. The courthouse, many of the spending organizations within the courthouse don't use your water because they say they can't get delivery. I know that's a challenge, depending on who you're working with.
The commission office still uses it, but we do have some trouble getting it.
If that, let me promise you this, if that's the reason
No,
why,
I mean, there's reason after reason after reason after reason, I think. Just that I guess you gave to the commissioners, and I wasn't here, is only the expenses, and it doesn't show anything about the income.
no, I provided income as well.
Well, I don't have it right there at any rate.
Okay.
Anyhow.
I had 3 separate packets for each commissioner. I would say this, I have been I'm not gonna speak about anybody that's been there in the past, but as the new executive director, I can tell you this, that there are things that I'm focusing on to make us, not just a great business in Cabell County, or West Virginia. I wanna make us a great company, a shining example for the entire United States. And this is one of the things that I don't understand, quite frankly, is that Cabell County has this facility that no other county in the United States has. We do something that nobody else does, and I just, I wish the focus would be more on, hey, look what these guys do, and use us as a bragging point, and I don't understand that. The other thing I don't understand is why all of a sudden, since 1982, why all of a sudden, the rug is getting yanked out from underneath us to the tune of $500,000. That's what I'm curious about.
Every 5 years, those folks who have been receiving money through the levy have applied to the commission to have that levy renewed, placed on a ballot. Green Acres didn't do that. I don't know if it was in a change of management or whatever you'd care to call it. So now we're going back and trying to cover it. The fact that you're doing something that nobody else is doing that makes the end product cost twice as much as what the other person's doing, I'm not sure that's a great shining example. Once again, I could, or I will, I think, at this point, because haven't heard much of anything else, if you'll hold on just a moment.
Could I interject one thing? Green Acres Regional Center operates on a fiscal year end ending June 30. Any numbers that have been presented to anybody that aren't of those years, of that time frame, aren't going to represent a real picture. There's one fiscal year end close, and there's a halfway kind of a calendar year end close, and that is not complete.
I have a request. Can I make a request?
Go ahead.
I really don't want to hear from a disgruntled
I'm not
ex-employee.
disgruntled.
Yeah, okay,
That's right.
all right, that's enough of that.
I would just like to, we have people that, parents
That aren't saying
of
anything.
employees that have expressed an interest to speak on from their perspective, and I would like to hear from them at this time if possible. They didn't sign in, but maybe we should have them sign in for the record, but are there employees or someone that would like to speak from your perspective?
I'm a parent. My name's Joy Combs. I didn't get on I was invited by Matt. I'm an employment specialist with Goodwill, and I also have a special needs son that's been employed with Green Acres for 9 years. It is his life. When he does not work, he's very sad. I cannot, he can do any job at Green Acres. He's been cross-trained to run the labels. That's what he started doing. He can box the water. He can work in the 16.9 room where they fill 12 bottles at a time, put them in a rack, and ship them to the boxers. And he can work in the 5-gallon room where he cleans the bottles. And if you ever come to visit where I've job coached other employees, he'll say, "Hi, Mom, but I'm busy." He's the most loyal. I don't know that he's missed any other than being very sick. And I have to keep him home if he has a fever. He wants to go to work. How many employees do you employ here that want to come to work so badly that they'll come sick? I am very passionate about Green Acres. I do not know what he would do.
I think did I meet him when I came out there?
I'm sure
There
you
was
did.
there was an individual who was doing the labels and very excited and spoke to me.
They all are.
Most of them are very excited. Yeah.
They all are excited.
Yeah. But it would break my heart if the center closed. It's not about the water. It's about an employment center that focuses on giving these people skills. And some of them, the ones that can drive, Andrew could never drive because of his disabilities. And you wouldn't want him on the roads. He drives go-karts backwards on the cart, on the course, I'm sorry. But it gives them purpose. It gives the county money. Those employees pay taxes to the county. But it is a one-of-a-kind center. And I understand that we're under some financial difficulties right now, but it doesn't mean that we can't talk about ways to improve that. So, that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Were there anybody else? You could just stand up and just state your name for the record, please.
Frank Bogus.
Can you spell your last name? What?
Boggess. Parent. Matthew, if you went out there, 6'5", 300, 3 and 5 gallon waters, lifts them up like they're pop bottles. Been out there for about since 2015. Part of the story is raising a child on the spectrum at a time when wasn't a whole lot known about it. Been through a lot of systems, school systems, Oak Rehab, Goodwill. Met some of his needs. Sometimes it was more individuals being responsive to him than systems being responsive to him. I just reinforced the idea that it is a sense of community, a sense of purpose, and you take that away from people that can't fit in other places. This is where it gets very sticky. I understand your dilemma. The reality is we do live in a dollar and cents world, and you have to be able to justify some of these things. But the other side of the coin is, particularly with a nonprofit, I understand a little bit about boards. Between church boards, I served on the Homeless Coalition Board while I was working at the DA. I am on the board of City Mission now. I'm a retired social worker. Involved in the homeless program the last 17 years of employment. Have a street name, V.A. Frank. I understand that when you were talking about people, it's hard to quantify people in dollars and cents. I learned a lesson a long time ago, though. It's when you talk about, are we talking about individuals employed at Goodwill, at Green Acres as, are they disabled people? Or are they people that are experiencing disabilities? That perspective changes everything. It really does. And I guess I just share that what happens too is that it just doesn't stay there. Sheets would go out of business if Matthew was not working. Now, the people that know Matthew, that's a daily stop. But it's not just that, it's what is carried over into the community. Every month he writes his check that goes to church. Something comes up, I said, Matthew, this family has a need, what do you think about that? I'll help. Those type of things that come across that you don't quantify and qualify on a ledger. The other things that have come out, and I understand boards and nonprofits, you have to be creative, and sometimes you have to think outside of the box. The world that residential care is not an issue as much anymore. That was their mission at one time. You'll see that in a lot of other organizations. Some of the organizations you talked about in terms of do not ask money from the county, they have different type of funding sources that Green Acres would not have. And it's just the environment that's out there. So I just kind of share that to throw that out there for consideration too.
Thank you, and if you've been a social worker for that long, may God praise you for your work, I'll say that. That's where you say to us these stories, and I'm sure that if there's parents in here, or friends, or brothers, or sisters, or whatever, each one could probably tell their own story. Just looking at the financial information that I've been presented, and thinking from when I ran a business, this isn't the way to do it. Why can't Green Acres find funding someplace else? Other additional funding, I'll put it that way. If there's difficulty with the way the finances are presented, then take your whatever amount it was on here for, according to the sheet that I had for the financial services, wherever they are, accounting services of $22,000 a year, and get it figured out. And as a matter of fact, what I was going to do before, and I'm going to do it right now, I move that Cabell County enter the resolution that is an order and notice of special election for additional county levy for Green Acres Regional Center to the voters of Cabell County for certain specified purposes by the County Commission of Cabell County, West Virginia, which is the one that is in the order today, and the approximate amount of that would be $212,781 per year. And I make that motion.
Okay, which would require a second, and I have a question. It was my understanding, and with our county administrator, that, it is on the agenda to have a discussion, possible action, but we have still 2 weeks before the drop dead date to put it before the voters. We still have an opportunity to look at it and put it up for a vote at the next meeting, which would be in 2 weeks. From my perspective, having gone out there for the facility, it was a great experience for me as a commissioner to just see what is going on up there. I've known about Green Acres for decades, and to say that I've gone out there to tour it, that was my first opportunity as a commissioner. I'm very impressed by what they do. It's internationally award-winning water that we should be proud of, not only in Cabell County but West Virginia. And from my experience of touring the facility, I think that there is a lot of missed opportunity, and I think that board members that are there currently that I've spoken with as well as Mr. Mueller, who's the newly hired executive director, even though you've been there 5 years. I think there's a desire to think outside the box now, and I think it's incumbent upon all of us to start thinking outside the box. You're having new people on the board, which might make an improvement as well. I would hate to see this dry up, and my concern is that, I didn't create this to be put on the ballot in the 1980s. It was a commissioner, prior to any of us that are serving here. And I don't want to be responsible for the demise of such a great facility. In my personal experience with an employee who I happen to be friends with, the grandparents and the parents, I've known this employee since she was born. And I know that she has applied to, she's developmentally disabled. Sweet girl. She's like 21 years old. And she's applied all over the place. She graduated from Capital Midland High School, and she just sits in the house and is very withdrawn. And this has been a godsend for her and for her family, to be able to have the experience of working and contributing. These are people, they're people. And to just draw a paycheck from the government for Social Security and be isolated at home, that is not an option. When there's something that, a place where they can work and thrive and have camaraderie and have a feeling of self-worth. And so to me as a commissioner and as a taxpaying citizen who plans to vote for it on the ballot, if it makes it on the levy for a vote, I plan to support it. As I said before, is there room for improvement? I think we all recognize that. And having gone out there to tour the facility there, and I said previously in this meeting, and I won't take up too much more time, but there's a lot of land, there's a lot of buildings that aren't being utilized to their potential. And I sense after talking to Mr. Mueller that there's a strong desire to see what we can, what can be done out there to improve it. We need to get to I'm glad to hear that there would be some support for putting it on the ballot, but we need to have a sweet spot. What is it that can, still sustain Green Acres without having them be shut down for lack of funding? Because at the end of the year, fiscal year, if the funding's not there, it may be gone. So I would like to have further discussion as to what that sweet spot is. Maybe it's not going to be supported to put on the ballot for the people to vote on the full amount that has been enjoyed in the past. Maybe there is a desire by some to reduce that amount, but is the amount being presented today the right amount? And what's being proposed is a 2-year levy vote, a 2-year funding amount instead of a 5-year. And I think that by shortening it, it puts more impetus on getting the great minds together, getting a business coach out there to see what the potential could be, and make some improvements and try to get some grants and funding interjected there without having to rely more on the taxpayer dollars. And having said all that, the vote will go to the people. It's gonna, we are just the first step. The county commission will be, without our vote, to put some type of levy rate out there, there will be no funding. And then the second step would be, and it would be, the onus would be on Green Acres or Autism Services, that's up next, for the voters to sell the program to the voters so that they can see the value and see if they're willing to continue that funding. So this is a 2-step approach, as you know, and I would like to know what the sweet spot is financially, for the levy amount. You're going from $700,000 with county taxpayer dollars to $212,781 potentially. So what would that be?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
The voters can vote on it, but as far as the amount, the voters will not decide the amount.
The county commission decides the amount of the
Right.
levy rate.
Right.
And then what we put out for a vote of the people, that's what they will vote on. So the first step is very important in that we set the levy amount.
Okay.
Well, I can give you that opportunity, Kelly. Is there a second to my motion to adopt the resolution of item 022, which is the levy for the Green Acres Regional Center? A motion has been made. Is there a second?
Well, I have a question to you. Have you made that motion before I would second it or not second it? Is this, are you saying that this is the only thing you will support, now or in 2 weeks? And that if we don't adopt this now, that it's a done deal or dead deal? I mean, what, I have to have that knowledge.
This is the one before us at this point, and it's my understanding in the crazy rules of the state of West Virginia and what commissions can or cannot do, that if you would like this on the agenda again, it could be put on the agenda again.
If she doesn't second it, then
Then
it
it
dies
dies.
for her motion. It
Right.
could be put back on,
Right.
yes.
I think the question to the clerk is how long do you wait that it's not gonna be on the ballot?
We have another, meeting, I was told.
Filing date's the end of this week.
The,
There's a short window that stuff can be put on a ballot, so you need to be sure that.
So it's not correct.
voters says that Secretary of State's office told them it's up in February, like mid-February, so we would have that next commission meeting. However, the calendar from the state says that the deadline for levy language is the end of January, which we would need to have at this meeting. I wouldn't want to push it, but we do have, the voters have said that the Secretary of State's office has said we have till mid-February on the printing.
They have told us wrong on
I
a couple
know,
of
that's
things,
why,
so I'm not
the Secretary of
sure.
State's office has told us incorrect information before, and I would caution you.
Yeah, I don't wanna be in jeopardy of losing it completely.
Right, that's why.
So, okay, my question would be, I would like to hear though, what would be, I mean, Mr. Hanley, you're on the board. What do you think the amount would be to keep it afloat for another couple of years, should the voters approve of what we put before them as a stopgap measure to enable the board to implement certain measures that could bring in more funding? What would you think, if this is passed at the levy rate of 0.19, what do you think would keep it afloat? It may not be 700,000, but what, is it 200,000, is it 400,000 for the next 2 years? Is it, I mean, what amount? I don't wanna see Green Acres wither up and go away. And I know you're gonna need a stopgap measure, a couple of years to get your house in order to be able to bring in more revenue. So I guess my question is, what, if we approve this, will Green Acres go away?
You answer that, you want me to give them a figure?
Can I say one thing? The current levy goes through June, correct? Okay. So we have that amount of time, and then if it were passed as it is today, it would go down to $212,000, okay? I can assure you if that happens, Green Acres will not continue. I do know that. You're asking for a particular figure. There's no way of being able to tell you an exact figure. But the one thing that I would request, since I just took over as executive director, if we put it to the voters to keep it as it is, because it's only 2 years. It's only a 2-year levy. If we keep it as it is and give us 2 years so that we have an opportunity to, try to pursue additional funding, I mean, to do it within, what, a 6-month period between now and June, to be honest with you, I've never tried to do that before. I don't know if that's even gonna be possible. So what my request would be is, if it's only gonna be for 2 years, 2 more years, and the voters are used to it as it is, all I'm asking is, give us 2 more years at the current rate, and during that time, we'll be looking for, we'll be trying to do the things that you were talking about in terms of, promoting things and trying to gather other forms of funding. But to do it within a 6-month period, because I can assure you this, that we've taken $500,000 out of our budget that's lethal. That will absolutely be lethal.
Well, we're at a point that we could offer an amendment to the motion for this. And
I presume.
Yes.
I would also like to mention that since I've
Could
been
you-
hired on,
could you state your name for the record?
my name is Courtney Stump. I got hired very recently, and I would just like to throw out there that Matt and I have been working diligently to put the unutilized buildings to use. Like that's first on our priority, but we've only been in for a couple weeks, so we're still.
Plus
At
it's
that
winter,
time.
plus it's winter time, which is not the ideal time of year to try to do something like that.
But it is one of our top priorities.
So I would make a motion to amend to keep it at the current level for 2 years and let them get their house in order. But no, we actually couldn't if we increased the other autism services. Is that correct? Are we at our limit?
They would both have to be adjusted. The way they are on there right now is they're together, and there's an internal agreement between the agencies that gives autism services 10% of the total levy amount.
But that agreement was never approved by the commission, is that correct, in an open meeting that you can
I
find?
don't know.
Right.
I don't know. It was long before, all I found was an internal
Before my time.
memo that was to, from the county clerk to the tax office saying that there was, the autism services was to get 10% of the Green Acres levy. The way they are presented on today's gives them each their own levy.
So where does that put us?
So
With
you
what's
would-
proposed for autism services, where does that put us at our levy rate, our now, our cap?
Well, the way they're proposed on here right now actually increases our amount available to
But if I
the
were to
county.
amend it,
I'd have to get the auditor's office to give me new numbers and
yes, I don't
plug
see
it
how we
in.
can vote on that today.
I mean, it'd take a minute or two.
Well, we could take a recess.
Yeah, you can do that.
I just feel like if we do this amount that, and not give a stopgap measure, that it could potentially jeopardize the program.
Well, at this point, there is a lack of a second.
Well, but do we have to do it today, so we have to do something?
When one department of the state says one thing and the other one says something else, it makes it a little difficult to make a decision, I'll agree with you. And I would,
Do we have to have the levy, I mean, I guess we have to have the levy rate decided today.
well,
I mean, if you don't, if you will wait till the next meeting, which is an option, it's just up to the Secretary of State's office, I guess, if they told us correctly, then
Could we
we
make a
have
phone
another
call to
meeting.
that office and we could hear the other presentation in the meantime and move that to the foot of the calendar? While we find out if we have till next week.
if you doubled in Green Acres case, the levy rate,
it's still gonna keep you under.
Oh, okay, well then that would be fine.
but you'd raise about $400,000
Per year.
per year.
Well, I will make that motion if it gets your support. To amend.
Okay. You're making a motion to,
Amend to double the levy rate that's presented to us today.
is that
From, yeah,
Oh,
from
percentage.
200, yeah, to the 400 and something.
right?
But, Mr. Mueller, is that still gonna put Green Acres in jeopardy?
That's hard to say. I wish I could say, yes or no. That's a difficult, it puts us in a very difficult position, because again, the 700,000 was 40% of our budget. It is not a small amount. It is not a small amount. So, again, having been here, this is my 4th week as the executive director. I don't have a lot of past experience to be able to give you a definitive answer, but I do know this: it's going to be very difficult at that amount. That's why I thought at 2 years, if we could keep it, if we could keep it at 600 for the next 2-year period, that's going to give us a whole lot better. If it has to be cut, if at the end of the day, if it has to be reduced, then trust me, I'm going to fight and scrap for every single dime we can get, because I want to see this place continue. I also understand the dollars and cents part of it, but for the next 2-year period, that will give me an opportunity to look into some other, whether it's, I don't know off the top of my head, other sources of funding, but that would help tremendously.
Your motion, Kelly.
Somebody raise their hand.
Sorry.
Hi, my name is Joanne Raines Korn. I currently work at Marshall University School of Medicine, and my expertise is in grant development, and I have extensive experience with grants.gov. I have recently been appointed to the board of directors there, and I would be more than willing to assist Green Acres in their adventure to come up with an agribusiness development plan over the next couple of years to report
I
back.
think if there's potential there. I
There
really
is
do.
definitely potential there. I have contacts at the Department of Agriculture, and they assure me that agribusiness is the way to go for grants this time of the year and in the session. So hopefully we can work together to develop a solid business plan and report back favorably in the next couple of years.
Yeah, that would be great. And this is a self-imposed tax that the voters have to vote for, so, they can say yea or nay.
Exactly. And as a property owner, I would be more than willing to reach out to others and encourage their support at this level.
And that's why we were asking her to be on our board. More than one reason.
So we're square on what we're doing, or what her.
She would have to amend, not to double it, but to just say the 600,000.
Yeah.
If
400.
Well, no, but that is what I understand.
I thought it was on the levy rate amount, and then it can fluctuate based upon, do we just do a dollar amount or a levy rate amount?
The way I understand the order from the auditor's office is you plug the rate in, and then the language says not to go over that amount per year. Even though it could fluctuate, it says not to go over that amount per year.
The reason it goes up and down is by your assessments, by your assessor.
Right.
That's why it continuously has grown to a point up to the max.
Right.
So it may start at a lesser amount, like the fire rate. It started at about 40,000, but it has continuously went up through appraisals to it's up around 60 for the fire rate.
So on the page in our resolution, where it says the additional rate of levy in cents per $100 of assessed value on each class of property shall be, class 1 is listed now at 19 cents. We would make that 38 cents. And where it's 38, we would make it 76. And where it's 76, we'd make it $1.52. And that would approximate, however it would be appropriately worded, not to exceed $425,000 per year, give or take.
Correct.
Yeah.
Would you want to amend your own motion, or do you want me to make that as an amendment?
Well, that's a motion I'm gonna I will second that motion if you wanna make it.
Okay, I just didn't know if you wanted to amend your motion since you made it.
No, if you wanna make that, that's fine.
Okay, I move to amend your original motion. As you stated.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And the amount would be, again,
You'd have 425,000, not to exceed $425,562 per year, I guess. Although this says 2 years, and we're messing with something that's already done, but it's doubling what the initial resolution would have done. It's not 700, it's not 600, it's about 425. And you made the motion?
Yeah, I amended the motion.
Okay, I'll second that motion. If you think we're all square.
Right, and I think the lady from Marshall needs to get on the grant bandwagon and see if you can make up that difference, because Mr. Mueller is
You think-
concerned.
We will try, sir.
You think?
Yeah,
Motion's been made and seconded to amend the resolution before us concerning Green Acres Regional Center to double the levy rate, or to change the levy rate to $38.76 and $1.52, depending on the classes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we've amended the resolution. Now we have then the resolution before us as amended.
right.
Do we have a motion to approve the resolution as amended, increasing the levy rates?
I make a motion to approve, and I'd also like to throw out that it may not be harmful to have also a county commissioner appointed to that board to help out.
oh, yes, yes.
We've got representation
From another county, yeah.
Yeah, from another county, so.
Yes, be glad to have you on the board.
Okay, motion has been made to approve the resolution as amended. I'll second that. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 So good.
For that, so good. The next item before us is very similar, item number 023, discussion and/or action, Cabell County Commission, order and notice of special election and additional county levy for autism services to the voters of Cabell County for certain specified purposes by the County Commission of Cabell County, West Virginia. Who would like to speak to this?
Jimmy Byrne, I'm the
Jimmy Byrne.
CEO of Autism Services Center, and Kelly Runyon, our Chief Financial Officer, will also be speaking. We're
I'd like
here-
to thank you all for coming. Those of you who are leaving, I hope you understand the commission's position. I'm sure I understand your all's position. It's not a perfect world, and life isn't always equal, and we do what we can the best we can. And I certainly thank you for your interest.
Thank you all for the opportunity.
Come back and visit.
Mr. Kelly, we meet February the 3rd at 4 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
Kelly and I are here today to ask for your consideration to place Autism Services Center on the ballot in May for a tax levy. We have been providing services to Cabell County residents for over 40 years, since 1979. We're a comprehensive licensed behavioral health center. We provide 24-hour residential programs, applied behavior analysis for children with autism, speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, a range of other services, case management, respite, supported employment. The majority of our services are provided in Cabell County. We serve over 200 individuals with developmental disabilities in the Cabell County area. And Kelly's going to speak about what some of the uses are for the money that we get from the levy.
May I ask a question before we
Absolutely.
hear that? Your program is dealing with persons with disabilities, however the proper term is, but it's on a much different scale than Green Acres.
Yes.
You said you have residential.
Yes, we do.
As I look at the budget figures that I've been able to gather from you, your total income is considerably more than Green Acres. Of course, your expenses are more and that sort of thing.
Sure.
But the levy, as we would propose it, is a necessary, would be, in your opinion, a necessary part of the of your operation, correct?
I do. The funds that Kelly's going to talk about are uncompensated funds. So that's the area that we're really targeting with the levy funds is providing services where otherwise we get some levy money now.
Or we did.
75,000 per year, and that's how we used that money. But we have 100 individuals on a waiting list currently right now, over 100. The demand for our services is just very high based on the types of services that we provide, and we have quite a few 24-hour residential homes, but many other services, and the uncompensated part of those services are important and valuable to many families.
Okay.
Kelly?
She mentioned we still do. If we're not approved after June, we would not receive those funds. We're no longer attached to Green Acres for a 10% allocation, is that right?
Not after the end of the
After
fiscal
the
year.
end of the fiscal year, okay. Just wanted to make sure I understood. As Jimmy said, my name is Kelly Runyon. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for Autism Services Center. I kind of grew up there. I've been there over 24 years, almost 25 years. I started as the staff accountant, and so to hear some of the dissension and some of the interesting points within Green Acres, that was news to me. I haven't been privy to any of that. I wasn't around in the early 80s when the allocation was first provided to Green Acres, but I did work there when our CEO and COO met with the commission in Green Acres, and they agreed to a 10% allocation. At that time, diagnosis rates have increased, services have increased, wait lists have increased, but at that time, 75,000 allowed us to serve a few clients, and that's what we've done in a variety of ways since then. The opportunity to do more, as Jimmy mentioned, a 100-person wait list is exciting, so we appreciate the opportunity to be here. For those of you who weren't here, if you want me to, I will go over some of the ways that we've used the funds in the past and what we would do in the future. If you're clear on it, I won't take your time.
Yeah, you did a wonderful presentation the last time. What was the waiting list that you have?
Close to 100 people.
Over 100 people.
So this would
We
help
currently-
quite a bit.
It would, yeah.
We have over 200 clients and over 400 employees with our home base here in Cabell County. Jimmy mentioned that we do services community-based, 24/7 group home settings, an applied behavior analysis clinic, and one of those areas that he touched on, that applied behavior analysis clinic, early intervention is critical. They work with kids with developmental disabilities. We specialize in autism, obviously, and what we find in that funding is though there is commercial insurance, and there is Medicaid funding, being Medicaid funded or Medicaid eligible doesn't mean that your spot's available. It doesn't mean that it covers all of the care that you need. There are long wait lists. There are wait lists just for families to get psychological assessments, which is needed to get any insurance authorization. One of the other issues is the insurance is underfunded or underinsured. There's not enough to continue, and progress is lost. Parents run out of funding. They can't make their deductibles or their co-insurance or co-payments, and those are some of the, the bigger areas, but we didn't limit it to just those. The funding has paid for dental work for someone who didn't have a bed, someone who couldn't make their rent payment. It was always funds that were where there was a need and there wasn't other funding. Some of those wait lists are restricted by state regulation, and they do not allow you to have any other funding while you're on those wait lists. So there are a lot of guidelines and rules on how we can use that, but at $75,000, it was a handful of folks with a wait list of 100.
You wanna make a motion?
I will make a motion.
What's that?
I will make a motion to put this before the voters of Cabell County as stated. Do we need to make that? I mean, it's a matter of public record, the amount, so.
Right.
I'll make that motion.
The one that's in the agenda.
Mhm.
The motion has been made to approve a resolution for an order and notice of special election for additional county levy for autism services to the voters of Cabell County for certain specified purposes by the County Commission of Cabell County, West Virginia. And this provides funds not to exceed $111,990 per year. Motion's been made. I'll second the motion. Any more discussion?
Will that be for a term of 2 years, did you say?
I'm sorry?
How, will it be 2 years, similar to Green Acres?
2 years. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is to place on record minutes to be recorded, Pea Ridge Public Service District regular board meeting November 8, 2021, Salt Rock Public Service District regular board meeting December 14, 2021. Other documents to be recorded, Pea Ridge Public Service District Field and Manager's Report, October 2021, Pea Ridge Public Service District General Ledger and Balance Sheet Period 5, year ending 2022.
And I move to place on record.
Has been moved that those items be placed on record. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody have any commissioners' representation reports, good and welfare of Cabell County?
Glad to see you're doing better.
We will sign the appropriate documents, and upon finishing that, we will be adjourned.